put in a lot of years, and Social Security is a guaranteed paycheck that you'll get every month. So why would you not make sure that you're maximizing it?
And welcome into the program. So glad you could join us, ladies and gentlemen, for Chicagoland Retirement Protect and Grow with certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns, CFP, founder of TJ Stearns Inc., the man with the information, the proactive guidance, the strategy discussion on what you need to be doing with your money and your investments in order to achieve your important financial goals. Tim, always a pleasure to have you here on the program. Thank you for being Chicagoland's resource and a consummate guide, a true professional, a legend in the financial and retirement planning industry.
Well, Peter, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. As you know, we're just trying to spread the word about how to get through a retirement. And one of the things I noticed that I've had a lot of different prospects come from the radio show and our workshops, and they're making mistakes as they're going into retirement. So what I did is I came up with a sheet of these mistakes that we're seeing commonly. I call it the 5 planning mistakes to avoid for financial security throughout your retirement. And
Okay.
basically, these are the things that we're seeing in our office quite a bit. And so I want to make sure that, we're talking to people out there in Chicagoland so that they can avoid these mistakes that other people have made.
Well, if we can avoid these, Tim, it's not a certainty. It's not a guarantee that we are 100% where we want to be. But man, it will go a long way in helping us get there, right? If we can avoid some of the big mistakes, that's half the battle, it seems.
Well, exactly. And if you can learn from someone else's mistakes, obviously that's going to make a better retirement for everybody. So, as we always say, sharing is caring. So I wanted to kind of put some things out there that I'm seeing that are commonly made by baby boomers and people that are wanting to retire.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the resource that is available on today's program. And Tim always strives to make some resource or information of value available to you. So today it is the report of the 5 planning mistakes to avoid for financial security throughout retirement. And we will overview each one of these on today's program. But if you would like this for your own to go over on your own time, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim, I think several of these are actually also addressed in your book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, another resource that you try to make available to proactive savers and investors.
Well, and we want to get that book into people's hands. I only want the serious people out there. So if you have over $1 million worth of assets, give us a call. We'll get the book into your hands. We also have it digitally, but we have a nice paperback that, I've had many people read this and they said that it kind of gave them an idea and a plan on how to get through retirement. So without further ado, Peter, let's launch into the first one. And that is,
Tim, you mentioned the over $1 million, and sorry to interrupt, but I want to put a pin in that right there, because we're reviewing these 5 planning mistakes to avoid. Would somebody of that description potentially still fall into a category where they're making one of the 5 mistakes on today's report?
Absolutely. All 5 of them. These are very important. And, as Peter, you've always said, geniuses learn from other people's mistakes. So why not be a genius in retirement?
All right. Well, again, the report, the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. If you've got $1 million or more, give a call and request that. The report for anyone, if you would like to get your hands on this report, just either way, give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Sorry to segue and rabbit hole there, Tim, but let's get into this report and the first mistake on your 5 planning mistakes to avoid.
Well, number one is going to be not having a grip on your retirement. It seems like a lot of people focus only on the money and the investments that you have, but there's so many other things that go into that. And that's where it comes in with the Protect and Grow blueprint that we do for people. There's all encompassing. And I think I'm seeing a lot of people come in that just have stocks and bonds. They have only correlated assets. And they think that that's all I have to do for retirement. That's not it at all. There's so many other things that go into there. Social Security, Medicare, long-term care planning. Asset allocation is one of them, but there's so many other things, and especially income allocation. If you're quitting now, where is your check going to come next month? So making sure that you have a plan and that you have a grip on your retirement would be number one in my idea.
And the GRIP, Tim, the acronym Guaranteed Retirement Income Plan. You're talking
Yep.
about pensions for those lucky enough to have them,
Yep.
Social Security for everyone. And then by having that GRIP and understanding and maximizing and optimizing those sources, lessening the reliance on our personal assets, but also I guess this is the understanding that generating income from just those investments, like you were talking about in the market, the stocks and the bonds, is not always certainty. It is not always reliable to base our lifestyle and our need for income on.
And Peter, to your point, we want to make sure that you're maximizing Social Security. You've put in a lot of years, and Social Security is a guaranteed paycheck that you'll get every month. So why would you not make sure that you're maximizing it? And if you're married, obviously, if you're maximizing, it's going to only behoove you and your spouse to make that decision together. We run a Social Security optimization report that really seems to trigger people to figure out, oh, wow, I should do it that way. Many people come in here with a preconceived idea when they want to pull that down, anywhere from age 62 to age 70 are the ranges, but we can actually show them and pinpoint when that time should be.
And optimizing Social Security, Tim, that is going to put less strain on the personal assets. I know that if you go to any kind of online tool or calculator, you can put in the Social Security numbers and it sort of gives you a break-even point for, one individual situation. Take it at 62, take it at full retirement age, take it at 70. And all of the lines converge somewhere out in the future, maybe around 79 or 80 years of age. But none of those tools or online calculators, Tim, include like the rate of return on the investment portfolio, or if we're having to drain the investment portfolio in order to delay Social Security, what impact that has on our total financial picture. That's where this GRIP comes into play, right? You're bringing all of those factors together into that protect and grow retirement blueprint. And that's what having the grip on retirement, mistake number one, not having a grip on retirement, is all about.
Right. And that's where just looking at your investments is not enough. There's so much more that goes into your retirement, and we're happy to help people with that by having a nice, concise report that shows them how to get it done.
Well, if you would like to see that report, the Social Security Optimization Report, your GRIP, your Guaranteed Retirement Income Plan, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, do you see, again, we're reviewing here the 5 planning mistakes to avoid. I'm certain that you have seen folks come in having made, or hopefully maybe even just about to make, and that way we can avoid making a mistake with the claiming and collecting of Social Security or the decision they're making on a pension.
Well, it seems like that people are relying on other people than their advisors. Most advisors won't touch this subject with a 10-foot pole. So we are happy to sit down with people and show them that, just because the water cooler person that you talked to said it's one way, let's do it the right way and figure it out by using the Social Security Optimization Report.
Well, if you would like to get that put together, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. I think that is worth the half hour to an hour of time for everybody, because the difference in Social Security, Tim, you've talked about, it can make several hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of someone's retirement. Is that worth a 60-minute investment of your time, ladies and gentlemen, to run the numbers to see the scenarios? I would certainly think so, because the difference is it either comes from Social Security or you have to pull it from your investments. So that's coming from your financial security, or just isn't there at all. So we want to make sure to make the most out of Social Security and, of course, those important pension decisions. Tim, we've actually seen a lot of movement with pensions over the last decade or so, with how much the lump sum is that the companies are willing to buy us out for versus how much the income is that they will promise to pay us for the rest of our lives. And right now is a really good time, an advantageous time to sit down and for someone to consider the options to maintain control over that money.
Well, we advocate for lump sums. The reason being is that, then you control the narrative of what's going to happen to your money that they have in your pension. Most companies are, fully funding that type of thing for a pension, but in the rare case where they go out of business or something like that, that scares me a little bit. So what we do is we advocate for a lump sum, and with interest rates being so high right now, the payouts are better than any of the pensions that we're seeing. And more importantly, most pensions are a flat payment to you per month versus we can actually get an increasing payment, that would look a lot better on paper. Most importantly, if something happens to you and your spouse, that's the end of the pension, correct? So with our option, the money would live on and go to the kids or whoever your beneficiaries are.
All right. Well, again, that grip on your retirement. I like the acronym there, Guaranteed Retirement Income Plan. Make sure you understand the sources of guaranteed income that you have available and make the most out of them, ladies and gentlemen. Mistake number 2, we are indeed reviewing with Tim Stearns, CFP, the 5 planning mistakes to avoid for financial security throughout retirement. Tim, number 2, taking inappropriate risks. And I know that there are a lot of risk takers out there when it comes to their money and their investments.
Well, Peter, I'm seeing a lot of people that feel like they don't have enough money, so they're taking undue risk. And so I'm going to quote Warren Buffett, and what I love this quote from him. Why would you risk what you have and what you need for what you don't have and don't need? Just to get a little bit extra money does not make any sense to put all of your money into the stock market and even bonds. Nowadays they are correlated. So I see a lot of people coming in here with a lot of money in stocks. And, it's been a while since we've had a correction, 2022. But I would tell people, do not invest like you're 40 years old anymore. If you're at the tail end of your career, now is the time that you need to be protecting your assets. Are you going to get all out of the market? Of course not. You need to have growth. My 94-year-old mother still has money in the stock market, but a brunt of your money should not be in the stock market.
And Tim, a lot of people have just sort of let things run the course, right? They started out their career, they started a 401k, that money was in the stock market, and they've sort of just kept their head down, kept on contributing with a deduction from each paycheck, and things have stayed that way over the course of their career.
Well, yeah, and I'm seeing people, they've gotten a little smarter by going in these target date funds, but even the target date funds, in 2020, they lost money as well, in 2022. So they down over 16.5% is what I've seen. So why would you not look at other aspects as far as having stop losses, active money management, and being strategic?
Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you've got questions, concerns, if you have looked at your portfolio and seen fluctuations that maybe you were okay with during your working career, but suffering that kind of loss or seeing that kind of volatility would not make you comfortable as you are entering into or making your way through retirement, it's time to evaluate. Are you taking inappropriate risks? And it's mistake to avoid number 2 on Tim Stearns CFP's list. If you'd like to run an analysis of your portfolio, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim, you actually have some pretty sophisticated software that can help somebody make sure that their comfort level with risk aligns with the amount of risk that they are actually exposed to in their portfolio, correct?
Definitely. And I'm seeing that a lot of people don't realize how much risk they have. So we actually send them a questionnaire, which is digital. We send that out to them, they answer it, and we get back a number. Then we match that up with what's in their portfolio, and the numbers are usually pretty far off. We had a 13-year bull market with a 2022 correction. They're still in way too much stocks. And when you point out to them, hey, your portfolio lost over 36% in 2008, for example, how long will this bull market run? We don't know that. So I try to urge people to realize how much risk they have and look at it and make the change.
Tim, what about these target date funds or these life cycle, lifestyle funds that basically give us a date and envision that that is the date that we are going to retire at? Don't those kind of automatically, in theory, take care of this issue?
They do, and I like them. They're better than just having some novice do their own uh, investments, but they still lose. And so, if you're looking at, I looked at the other day, the 2020 Vanguard fund had lost over 20% in 2022. I mean, that in theory, you've been retired 2 years, right?
It's 2 years into your retirement and you lose nearly a quarter of your
Right.
life savings. That's
Right.
that's not adjusting and removing inappropriate risk, in my opinion.
In most cases, all they're doing is adding a little more bonds in there, and it's still down. I mean, bonds were down 13% in 2022, while the stock market on average was down about 20 something percent. So I'm looking at the fact that, people think that those are a silver bullet, and they're definitely not.
Okay, well, Tim, more mistakes to avoid here, and time keeps on ticking. So let's move through number three on the list: the gross planning mistake. This is a big one.
Well, I'll protect her name by calling her Laura, but I had a client who came in and said she wanted to live on $100,000 a year when we were doing her protect and grow blueprint. And, I said, does that include taxes or not? And she said, I don't want to pay taxes. But unfortunately, she had put all of her money over the years in her 401ks. So the IRS had never touched that money. So a lot
And
of
I bet
people,
they never forgot about that either.
no, the IRS is on point. And, I told her, I'm like, that's a gross planning mistake. You're using a gross number when actually we should be using a net number because you have not paid taxes on that money. So when we're doing the protect and grow blueprint, we make sure that taxes are factored in there. Most people, if you ask them, when you go to retire, what's going to be your number one expense? And they'll say, oh, healthcare. Well, no, in most cases, it's actually going to be taxes. So
Mm.
you need to make sure that you factor in taxes.
Well, again, moving right along here and not to overlook those potential healthcare expenses. That is number four on our mistakes to avoid. Not caring enough to plan for long-term care. Maybe it's not caring so much, Tim, as not liking what we see when we try to plan for long-term care, though, too.
Well, let's get a couple frightening numbers out there. 7 out of 10 Americans over the age of 60 will need long-term care, and 9 out of 10 of them have not addressed that. Those are really big numbers. And so you need to make sure that you're taking a look at, unfortunately, something that is probably going to happen to at least one of the spouses. So we advocate for people to say, at least explore the options that are out there, like the hybrid life insurance that my wife and I did that had long-term care components to it. But looking at those things, I mean, at least you know what you're getting yourself involved in if God forbid you need it and you didn't do it.
Tim, you've got the protect and grow blueprint. This is the planning process that you take people through, and the document that you provide to determine and to detail the financial situation as it stands, and then the path forward. Four pillars. Number one is asset protection. Number two is income planning. Number three is maximizing Social Security. And then number four really is these two things,
Right.
is planning for taxes and healthcare expenses. Do you find that a lot of people have overlooked the two biggest expenses that we are likely to incur in retirement when planning for retirement?
Much like a ostrich would bury its head in the sand, people don't want to address the 800-pound gorilla. Whatever the analogy that works for you, they're not looking at it. They want to either just say that it doesn't exist or move on from it. So when we're meeting with people, we make sure that we're telling them, hey, this is something that's out there. You have not paid taxes on this money. This is going to be a gross number. We have to net it off. And then more importantly, if you need long-term care, the chances are you're going to need it. Well, let's take a look at what that looks like.
I just find that, Tim, we have sort of been conditioned and trained that we're looking at the lump sum side of things, the investment amount, the dollar figure. Oh, I've got $1 million. I've got
Right.
two, I've got three, I've got $5 million. And there just seems to be very little discussion addressing the other side. Okay, fantastic. You've got that money. Now, how much are you spending, or how much are you going to be spending from it? And the ratio between the two is really what's going to tell us if we're financially prepared for retirement or not.
Exactly. And that comes down to actually having a plan. And 9 out of 10 baby boomers do not have a plan. So the big thing that we are going to urge people to do is, we will sit down with you and make a plan. Because obviously, if you don't have a plan, you're defaulting to something that who knows where it's going to go. And so we're making sure that people understand that.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick on these two for just a moment longer here, Tim. The baby boomers generationally, by and large, have deferred paying taxes on their retirement dollars. The 401k was the mainstay for retirement investing. Has deferring taxes to this point been a mistake, or would it just be a mistake to continue to ignore that issue?
Well, I don't think they had many options because in their careers, the Roth wasn't really out there for a lot of it. So yeah, I mean, now it is bad to ignore it because right now we have the current income taxes are the rates are the least they've been since the 1980s when most of these people start their careers. So why would we not explore what it could look like to do some Roth conversions under the current rate? If you're not taking a look at those opportunities right now, then you really should be.
Plan and manage effectively that tax bill, that liability, bring it down and control
Right.
it as much as possible. And then the potential cost for care, Tim, I don't think that there is any controlling what that cost is, but the protections that we have in place, the leverage that we can provide ourselves to address those potential costs. That is what we can put in place that so many are ignoring because, Tim, there has not really been a whole lot of attractive options on the table. I feel is one of the leading reasons for that. However, what you mentioned earlier, it sounds like there are multiple different ways to address this issue, or at least to have something in place to help address it.
Well, and that's why you need to at least have the conversation, right? Am I going to self-insure or am I going to look at some other options? My wife and I did that, and we looked at the life insurance that had, a long-term care component, and that worked for us. It's not for everyone, but it's at least something that we took care of so that our kids won't be, riddled with bills that we didn't account for.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, talking with Tim Stearns, CFP, 5 planning mistakes to avoid for financial security throughout retirement. If you would like to list the report, pick up the phone, give a call, and request the 5 planning mistakes to avoid. 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And if you have over $1 million saved for retirement, you can call and additionally request the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. The strategies discussed in the book are intended for those who have done a reasonable job in saving and accumulating. And for the $1 million plus saver, investor, retirement, you need to avoid the 5 mistakes. You also need to understand the strategies that lead to a more secure and confident retirement. We still have worries. We still have doubts. That's what the book addresses. The Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle book by Tim Stearns, CFP. You can give a call and request that. 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. All right, Tim, finally, 5 mistakes to avoid for financial security throughout retirement. Mistake number 5, not using Social Security to provide effective financial security.
Well, I mean, you want to make sure that you understand when you should be pulling that Social Security. And with Social Security, it's a guaranteed income. Why would we not want to explore it so you're not leaving money on the table? And if you're married, obviously it's going to behoove you to do a report to see when that perfect point is to get in the pocket of the government, which is what everyone wants to do.
Tim, I think a lot of people are worried about the solvency of Social Security. Does that have any bearing on how we should address this question, this big asset and facet of retirement?
Well, absolutely. And that is something to be concerned about. I think that a lot of people are voting, and that's going to, a lot of people are voters out there that want to make sure Social Security's whole. So that is going to motivate politicians to get it straight. And, they're running on a runway, but they will do that. But that still tells me that I'm going to take it on a case by case.
The less and less runway that they leave themselves, though, Tim, the fewer and fewer good options that they have, and I feel like they're cutting off their nose to spite their face by not jumping out and addressing this issue with Social Security that all of us who depend on it see coming here. Now, here's where I think there may be additional compounding of mistakes, Tim. If what they tell us is true, and Social Security is going to have to cut benefits in 2033. Some of the psychology that I am hearing is, well, Social Security's in trouble. Run out and get it now while the getting is good.
Right.
That's just going to compound the pain, right? Because we've already cut our benefit. We've lessened it by claiming and collecting it early. And then if they do go through cuts down the road, that's going to further decrease our benefit.
Right. And that's why it needs to be addressed. And we've been advocating for that for years through different organizations that I'm part of. But that being said, like a case by case situation, we'll meet with people and tell them what we think they should do or not do, and then hear them out. Everyone has preconceived ideas, and I appreciate that. But to get educated and then make the decision is so important.
5 planning mistakes to avoid. We've covered them today with Tim Stearns, CFP. If you would like the list to go over on your own, or if you'd like to review your plan and get a Protect and Grow blueprint for retirement, pick up the phone and give a call. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. 800-640-2256. Tim, it is always a pleasure. Great to have you back on the airwaves, as always, here on Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.